Hey, hey everybody! ROTL Lions UK, Matt and Ash and Ryan and Tom here for the moment. We're just getting set up, so we're just chatting. Hope everyone's good. Can you hear us, Tom?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, all good.
Yeah.
All good.
Every time.
It always happens, bloody Zoom. Oh, how you been, mate?
Yeah, I've been great. I don't know why. Actually, I'd take that back. Football's over. It's pretty miserable. That's the first Sunday where I'm just like, yeah, what do I do now? You kind of forget it every year. It comes around. So luckily I've got the Pistons to look forward to for the next 6 weeks or so still.
Yeah, look forward
Yeah,
to
you
is
looking
an
forward to
odd
the
way of putting
Pistons.
it. Derek Barrack subscribing with Prime for his 19th month, saying, "What's up, fellas?" Hey, Derek, and Dan Pasca's in the room as well, saying, "Cheers from here to the UK's Detroit Lions presidents." So, is it President's Day today?
No, that was
Or
in
was
January.
oh, what was the what was? I swear I heard about bank. I swear it was President's Day. Is it not?
I thought it was in January. I thought it was after. I think I was there when it was on. I think it was after the. Isn't it when the college football game was on or something like
February 19th.
that? Mm.
It is yesterday, yeah.
Is it Labor Day? Maybe might have been then.
Labor
Well-
Day's late. It's like September time.
What are the other American bank holidays? Veterans
Day.
Day. That's November, I guess,
Veterans
isn't it?
Day. Yeah,
I don't know.
but
Christmas
Martin
Day.
Luther King Day, MLK Day,
Yes.
MLK Day.
MLK
That was
Day.
it. MLK. Yeah, that was it. You're right.
Joshua Mercer subscribing with tier 1 for his 7th month, saying it certainly is President's Day. There we go. I love it. Brent DeWitt saying 4 new uniforms revealed, subtle changes but nice. What? What's that? Ash, tell us.
I'm scared that the Lions have just released new uniforms like while we've gone live.
Were they?
Surely not.
Yeah, that's surely not. That's I'm scared. Yeah, Lions.
I'm
website,
not seeing anything, but
Nor my.
maybe it's our new unis in terms of the bow tie and everything else.
Maybe.
I hope so.
I was saying to Ash, I kind of feel like I'm sort of a younger version of Ernie Johnson with this get up.
Yeah, I see it.
I'll just leave you guys to do the talking. Like, who wants to be Shaq? Oh, shouldn't go there.
I don't think anyone wants to be Kenny Smith. I don't know if you saw all the stuff from yesterday, but he got universally panned for the commentary over the weekend.
No, I had no idea. Let me just chase up Ant. I know that Ryan McCluskey's going to be here later, and Steve is not going to be joining us. I'll go into it more in the AGM, but Steve is stepping back for a little while. Cool Down Rat subscribing with Prime for his 19th month as well. 11-month streak. Thanks, Cool Down Rat. Hope you're well. That Batman said the bow tie is clean. Thanks. Yeah.
Looks like something you wore at your communion or something like that when you were about 7.
Thankfully, I had never taken communion. That's my own personal preference, but there you go. But yeah, I can see what you're saying for sure. I'm glad Brent's doing better. Brent had surgery and has been recovering, so good that you're getting better, man. Where is Mr. Fitzpatrick? Right, Tom, I said it to Ryan, and Ash already knows. In the prep doc, there is the award that you are handing out and a link to the nomination graphics and the winners graphics. So it's not a surprise sorry, it is a surprise for everyone apart from you, because you can go and find what you want. And you
Yeah.
can spoil everything for yourself if you want, but yeah. Hopefully
Actually, I
that's-
did take photos of what I voted for as well. So I want to know if I'm different to what the actual winners were.
Is there
I've
a way you
already-
could email this to me as well? Because I'm struggling here.
email.
Online.
Oh, what the graphics?
Yeah, is that possible?
Yeah.
I'll send you my work email if that's okay.
Yeah. What have we got you doing? Game of the year and defensive player of the year. That'll be all right. Okay.
Game of the year.
Ooh, I have a message.
It's from me.
Don't know why that made me laugh, but it did. Game of the year. Download. And defensive player of the year. What you guys been up to this week? Anything much? Good weekends?
I was away
Training
seeing my boy,
mostly.
so that was good. That was about it.
Well, yeah.
What was that, Tom? What have you been up to?
I played golf on Saturday, which is just, I mean, now we enter this part of the year, which is when football takes a back seat. My golf content goes through the roof. So yeah,
Fair
we
enough.
played on Saturday for the first time in a few weeks. And yeah, we'll get going. Got a few trips
Right.
this year. Should be nice.
Where you going this year?
Say again?
Where you going golfing?
Portugal, and then I'm actually golfing the US for the first time in May. So
Lovely.
stumbled into a bit of a mega trip out there. So very excited.
Quality. I'm going Mercia in a couple of weeks, so that'll be most likely my first round of the year. So I'm looking forward to that. Like near like the Manga Club. Do you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah, going there.
Very nice. Just see some sun as well.
Yeah. Some cocktails.
Right, Ryan, I've just sent you the email.
Thank you.
May not necessarily be in order, given that you... Thanks, Brent. Oh, he said Matthew channeling his inner Pee Wee Herman. Oh, man. Really? Come on, man. Oh, right. What's Brent linked here?
I'm watching it now. I'm trying to see.
4 new uniforms revealed at a Lions event for season ticket holders.
Is it?
It says Thursday night, so yeah, it's the last one. It's an absolute bait fest.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's got the grey pajamas in. Yeah, it's old.
Oh. Boo.
I would have loved that live reaction to seeing them.
Exactly, yeah. Especially, imagine if they announced it and it was the black uniforms.
Yeah,
The world would implode.
they'd be shouting and screaming.
Is there a black
Yeah.
one?
No, it is not, unfortunately.
There's
No, it's
no-
old.
nothing yet.
It's the last uniform release. So it's the grey pajamas and that. Soon.
He's a coming. Here's the Fitzpatrick. I don't golf very much, but I have golfed in the US. I've golfed in Florida when I was 12 or 13, and I'm pretty sure I hit a better round of golf than I could do now, which is embarrassing, but there we go.
Just means you got to get better. Got to get back out there.
I think I was like just worried that we'd have like gators coming onto the course, so I wanted to get round as quickly as possible.
I hear that. I mean, some of the courses, especially when you get down to the Carolinas and things, it's like, yeah, just don't go into the rough because you've got snakes, gators, all of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I spend a lot of time out there, so
I
I
mean-
can't afford to not go looking for the ball every time.
Maybe my secret was that at the age of 12 or 13, if I hit it into the rough in Florida, I was like, well, that's a free drop. I'm 18 fairways in regulation. How has that happened? Fairways made.
Ash, how's the flag going?
Going good, going good. I was just telling Matt before you guys joined, I've had to pay out 150 quid this week because of it.
Really?
Yeah, membership to the team, to Bath. Bath itself's 35 quid.
I was going to say, it's always 35 to Bather.
Yeah, Jersey. And then they put me at Blitzer this week and I made a couple of good plays on this. The second sack I got, I tore the bottom off one of my boots. So I had to buy myself a new pair of boots.
Okay, well, that makes me feel, I mean, that's also hilarious, but I thought that was just subs was going to be 100.
No.
I was like, whoa.
Subs was about, subs was about 70 because it was about 35 for each, then 35 for the jersey.
Yeah.
I picked, obviously people in Discord know what number I picked. Maybe that's a fun little, 31 because of Kirby Joseph.
Oh, love that.
I was going to go for 42 because of JRM, but it was already taken.
Fair.
So you're going to the Olympics then for flag football? Is that what you're telling us?
Oh, exactly. Yeah, sure. Sign me up.
You're going to bring back gold.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's it. Go get it.
How you doing, Ant?
I'm good. Everyone all right?
Yeah.
Good.
Good, man.
What did you do Chesterfield mob do to Jeff Sterling's car the other week?
Nothing that he doesn't deserve.
Poor Jeff.
Oh, man. And I don't know if you've seen the prep doc and what you're announcing and the links to the graphics.
Yeah, I've seen it all.
Cool. So, happy?
Yeah, all good.
Because our resident college football expert is going to be on in about 20 minutes, I'll mention the bets deal, but it might be that maybe we leave discussion until the end of the show to talk about that. Just because Ryan watches CFL. Don't know. But the rest of it I will reference at the start. Is there anything... Does everyone know what award they're planning and who's been nominated and who's won?
I'm looking now.
I'll have to make sure that Ryan McCluskey gets the message when it comes on. But otherwise, yes.
And sorry, is Game of the Year the first one I'm doing or the second one?
Game of the Year is the first one you're doing, which is a third award. And then
okay, mate.
Defensive Player of the Year, third last. And if you have to go before, then I'll just take it.
No problem.
Cool. All right, we ready to go?
Yep.
Here we go then.
Recording in progress.
Welcome to another edition of the ROTL Lions UK podcast, episode 256. All bets are off. I'm Matthew Turner alongside Ryan Farden, Anthony Fitzpatrick, Tom Wilkinson, Ash Soden, and to be joined soon by Ryan McCluskey. How you doing, boys?
Good evening.
Doing good, doing good.
This is the Lions Award Show for 2024. This is the fourth edition of this. I think fourth? I hope fourth. I've been saying fourth the whole time, but I'm not questioning myself. Could be third, not sure. But this is a time of the year where we celebrate the best in Lions, coming to you almost a full month after the time that we normally do this, which is refreshing in itself. Of course, the Lions got snubbed for the majority of the awards this year, but not here, where we've won them all in some form or fashion. We're going to go through a little bit of news, and then we're going to get straight into the awards. So let's get on with it without further ado. But just to start with, do come and join our Discord channel. There's some great draft chat in there at the moment, and we'd love to see you in there to learn about who is going to be drafted in Detroit for Detroit in 2024. And of course, you'll see all the chat about us going there as well. So great place to be. Link is in the live chat right now. College Football Podcast. Anthony Fitzpatrick, what are you talking about this week?
So it's the HBCU Legacy Bowl this week. It's the last of the All-Star games before we hit the Combine. So we're going to be doing that. We've done the Shrine Bowl, done the Senior Bowl. Now it's time for the turn of the HBCUs.
All right. Don't forget to check that one out because there always are some really good draftable guys who go under the radar in those games. And there have been some really big players, actually, who've Super Bowl winners. And actually, in the last couple of years, haven't there been? Because Kansas City had that cornerback.
Yeah, Joshua Williams is a 2 times Super Bowl winner in his 2 years, so not bad. Not bad for a guy from Fayetteville State. But yeah, there's loads of good guys this year, so well worth checking out.
Absolutely. Please don't forget to like the show, sub to the podcast, all that good stuff. And don't forget to add Lions Nation Unite on their Facebook group, facebook.com/group/Lions Nation Unite. Herman Moore's projects bring the best in Lions content creators together. We're Twitch affiliated, YouTube monetized. There's a tip jar down below. So if you're enjoying what you're listening to and you'd love to show some appreciation in that way, we'd love you to do that. And there's also our merch store as well, which is launched, and we are going to be trying to do some new stuff in that regard through the off season, so the link is in the live chat. If you want to get something back for your fandom and supporting the show, that's a great way to do it. Let's get on with the news. Lions Senior Director of Player Personnel Lance Newmark has joined the Commanders as Assistant General Manager. After 26 years with the Lions, he started off as a regional scout and effectively got promoted all the way through, eventually to Senior Director of Player Personnel. He kind of has hit his ceiling with the Lions, really. He couldn't get any further, and so it's a well-earned promotion, I guess, in a lot of ways. Former Lions quarterback David Blau has also joined the Commanders as an assistant quarterbacks coach. Of course, the Lions have a quarterbacks coach and an assistant quarterbacks coach, so Blau calling time on his career. Unfortunately for us, I would say there's no room for him on our staff in that regard, so he's also going with our best wishes. I've mentioned Matthew Betts in the little preamble that we've had, but Matthew Betts from the CFL has joined the Lions on a futures deal. Ryan McCluskey is our resident Canadian Football League expert, so we're going to be discussing that when he comes on, probably after the award show. So if you want more on bets, have a listen to the entire show and we'll chat on that afterwards. The Eagles have signed former outside linebacker for the Lions, Julian Okwara, to a 1-year deal worth up to $2.675 million. And finally, just to throw this in there because it's notable, it's not any sort of bit of news, but I thought it was worth shouting out. Pride of Detroit have done a really good thing where they have just put up the list of charitable causes the Lions players raise money for. If you are looking to get your deductible in on your tax return and you want a charitable cause close to the hearts of some of your Lions players, go and check out the news article on prideofdetroit.com, and that could be a good way of supporting some of your favourite players and maybe obtaining a tax refund as well. All right, guys. Any bits of news there that you guys want to chat about? Okwara, Blau, Newmark? We'll get on to bets later.
Only thing I'll say on Newmark, I mean, let's be honest, the last 26 years have had its fair amount of downs from a front office personnel standpoint. So for someone to have survived all of those regimes and have the next regime come in and want to keep that person, I think is super impressive. So absolutely wish him all the best. I think it's interesting. Obviously, I'm right in saying Martin Mayhew is Commanders. Is that right?
Yes.
No,
it's
it's the guy, it's Adam Peters. It's Adam Peters who they hired from the Niners this offseason. Mayhew is kind of like being that sort of role.
He's with the Commanders, right? He's an advisor in some way.
He's like the John Dorsey for us.
So love the fact that he's obviously done his time, seen it through with a bunch of new regimes who, let's be honest, often clear house. And then it's someone who had a previous relationship with him and Mayhew wants to bring him over. So obviously really impressive guy. Wish him all the best. I think it's pretty cool.
It is, yeah. Like this is a guy that is credited with introducing analytics to how we did things using technology. So we're one of half the teams in the league that use Zebra technologies. So like the GPS speeds and that from Senior Bowl, he introduced that to us. And he's had his fingers in other pies, obviously senior director player personnel, kind of in charge of the in-house stuff, but he's obviously done stuff for free agents. He's always banged the table for some of the draft prospects. So the reason I know a lot about him is because he was the guy banging the table for Kirby in that draft. The guy who's worked out well. He was banging the table for, I think he was the one who actually decided between Decker and Ryan Kelly way back in like 2016, when everyone who had our football brain knew those were the two picks that we were going to make in the first round. He's kind of had his fingers upon a lot of things, but as he said, he's kind of hit his ceiling. Everyone above him is kind of either rooted or is going to go elsewhere. Like he sort of hits in and said, now, yeah, this is his next step, kind of like how we had with our director of college scouting last year, who took the same promotion with the Cardinals last off season. It's kind of just, it happens. It's what happens to good teams. But we've got the like regime there and the hierarchy set up to mitigate the loss. Like everyone sort of lays on top of each other. So the loss, it might be a slight one, but we've got people who can step up and hopefully take that role that Newmark's kind of leaving.
I'm actually watching now the 75-yard touchdown throw by David Blau to Kenny Golladay against the Bears. I just thought it would be a really good way to kind of remember him, because he didn't do much on the field for the Lions, but that was a particular highlight.
Guys, NFL completion, that was. I remember watching it in a bar at Thanksgiving after just doing a pub quiz with my subject society. I went to watch the rest of the game at a bar in Nottingham City Centre, and I watched that happen, and I was pretty damn happy. And then we lost the game, and I was sad.
Is it bad that my biggest memory of David Blau is of everyone sitting in the auditorium watching Christian Gonzalez's sister, i.e. David Blau's wife, run the whatever it was, 400 hurdles did she do? I can't remember. But either way, It was a really, I don't mean that in a bad way. It was a really cool video. But as in, that is my biggest memory of David Blau. So,
no, I'm right with you.
Blau is definitely on the list of QBs who could make a great calendar. Him and Jimmy G might have like a little business together now that they're kind of both out the league.
Oh, man. Right, let's crack on with the awards, shall we? Everyone ready?
Let's do it.
All right, there are 12 awards to give out. There are 2 fan-voted awards, and we're leading off with them. And then we're going to build up to MVP finally. So, the first award is going to be handed out by moi, lead the way, and it is for Fans Moment of the Year. Now, this was hotly debated in terms of what should be included with nominations, and I had to cap it off at 8 because there were so many good ones. So the nominations for Fans Moment of the Year 23-24 are Ifeatu Melifonwu gets the interception against Minnesota, Amon-Ra St. Brown catch versus the Rams to win the first playoff game, Barnes' interception versus Tampa Bay to win the divisional round, Gibbs' touchdown versus Las Vegas, where he gets hoisted into the crowd by what can only be described as the strongest woman ever seen, Jared Goff chant pre-Rams game, so before the Rams game, and the whole of Ford Field just absolutely rocking chanting his name, the Craig Reynolds block for Amon-Ra St. Brown touchdown at Tampa Bay. Brad Holmes celebrates in an elevator. I think that was after the Rams game, but it might have been after the Tampa Bay game. I'm not sure which one. It might have been both. And Dan Skipper reports as eligible for the first time after the debacle where he failed to do so, apparently. And the ironic cheers that the crowd gave the referees, who had nothing to do with the prior game, to be fair to them, but never mind. So those are your nominations. And the winner of this prestigious award is the Lions win a playoff game, Amon-Ra St. Brown catch versus the LA Rams. So on 2nd and 9, at the 2-minute warning, Jared Goff throws an 11-yard curl to Amon-Ra St. Brown, who sits down. The ensuing first down achieved allowed the Lions to kneel out the game. After the first kneel down, Goff raises his arms to the sky to a chorus of Ford Field cheers. The Lions win their first playoff game since 1992. Boys, I think in an absolutely stacked crowd, it's a deserved winner. Maybe just talk about, and I know we've done this ad nauseum, but I'm never going to get tired of it. What did that mean to you? And Ryan Farden, I'm going to come to you first because you were there. Lions won a playoff game.
Yeah, I mean, it was just fantastic, obviously, as you expect, and heard from the TV, I'm sure, and everything. That it was just electric in there, and there was tears, there was people hugging each other, people who didn't like each other that they sat behind for years were all best friends, and just an amazing atmosphere to finally get the monkey off the back, and and like you say, part of that play with it being when he ended that play with Jared Goff pumping his hands into the air in victory for all that he's gone through in this rebuild in Detroit was just amazing. So fantastic moment for all of us.
Mile Marker's come in, by the way, with a $20 super chat saying happiest off season for a long time. And I must think it's in no small part down to moments like these. Tom, it was an incredible moment, especially like the way that Goff celebrated it, even maybe before the final whistle had blown.
Yeah, and we talked about it a little bit afterwards, like a weirdly surreal time. I can't obviously speak to what it was like for you in the stadium, Ryan, but watching it, it was, has this happened? Does it mean what I think it's mean? What's about to go wrong? Because something has to. And just, super surreal, super amazing. I mean, when we end up winning the Super Bowl at some stage in the near future, that I'm sure will top it. But honestly, other than that, I'm not sure much is going to. I'm even there thinking, if we'd won the NFC Championship this year, and obviously it's a much bigger achievement, would that have been the same elation? I'm not even sure it would, just because of everything that's happened in the last 3 decades, and to get that monkey off the back and also do it against the Rams and everything that means for obvious reasons. I really struggle to believe that even winning the NFC Championship, which is a bigger event, would have had the same kind of outpouring of emotion as that did. And I really think the only thing that's going to be able to top it, at least in the near future, is a Super Bowl win. So I'll happily be proven wrong when next year I'm sat reflecting our Super Bowl victory and I tell you the NFC Championship was better and then the Super Bowl was even better than that. But yeah, right now it's tough to think of anything really topping that feeling.
Yes, it's going to be especially tasty beating Lance Newmark's Commanders in the NFC Championship game next year. And how did you feel after finally getting the monkey off our backs collectively?
Yeah, I can't really have much more. Like Tom said, I think it's one of the best feelings we could have had, even if we won the championship game, because we've been through some rotten times, a lot. We've been right down in the gutter for a lot of it, and that was just sort of the culmination of the last 3 years, which have been still difficult, but we knew the process was working, and it was able to come to fruition there. So it was huge. It's just and it was the first time we've been able to celebrate doing this as well, because most of the years, we've done this show a month ago by this point, because we just don't get to it and we don't get to experience that sort of stuff. So yeah, it was great. It's a deserved winner. I know we had a lot of moments, but I don't think anything was ever going to beat that.
Do you agree, Ash?
Yeah, as much as I would love to make the joke of Dan Skipper robbed again, though it was Decker caught the touchdown. It was a great moment. And as you said, I agree. If we won the NFC Championship game, it wouldn't have felt as big as this, because this was the big, as you said, the big monkey off back. That was the big hurdle we got over finally. And if we won the championship game, it would just be the continuation of that momentum. So yeah, next is starting our dynasty now. The Chiefs have had their time. Now it's time for the Goffense to start a dynasty.
I've got to say, Lo, I mean, I'm kind of embarrassed that not embarrassed, because I absolutely love the play. It's probably the one play I've actually gone back and watched over and over again this year, was that block for the Amon-Ra St. Brown touchdown in Tampa. That technically was I did vote for that, so I've got to be honest with you. But I mean, now I'm kind of feeling a bit embarrassed because, obviously it's technically, that win in the playoff game. But that was just such a brilliant football play, and it deserves an extra special mention, I think, because that was everything that this team is about and built on, and I just absolutely adore that play.
Well, I voted for Dan Skipper, so I can't talk.
I knew you were that one as well, Ash. I hate it. I hate it so much. And it is time for you to present the Fans Player of the Year. When you come off mute. There we go.
There we go. So, yeah, just bear with me one moment. So, yeah, number 2 award of the evening, second of the fans' votes, Fans Player of the Year. So the nominees, we had our quarterback, Jared Goff, edge rusher Aidan Hutchinson, or beloved centre Frank Ragnow, right tackle Penei Sewell, wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown, defensive tackle Aleem McNeil, and running back Jameer Gibbs, a more stellar lineup I don't think we've had in a very long time. And the winner of this award was... There wasn't one, because we gave you one job and you couldn't do one guy. We've got two winners for this because it was that close a contest. You were not able to mark just one guy out. So you've not got one winner, you got two. And those are quarterback Jared Goff and right tackle Penei Sewell. Obviously, Jared Goff, the first Detroit Lions quarterback to deliver a playoff win in 30 years, and his renaissance has been something to behold. Got us 2 wins in a week. Absolutely great for him. And of course, Penei Sewell is this franchise really the first pick of the first pick of this tenure, the guy who represents everything that we're about, and one of the best tackles in the league, and he's about to be paid as such. So 2 very deserving winners here, but it was that close we were not able to go. So like, we're going to spread the love around. So well done, guys. Jared Goff, Penei Sewell are your fans, players of the year.
Boys, what do you make of that? I was feeling that it might have gone in another direction. The vote kind of swang one way and then the other, and then that kind of it crystallized amongst those two. But the fans, exactly the same number of votes for both of them.
Absolutely love that there's 2 of them. I mean, I'm making a wild assumption here that most of our awards are going to be won by one person, because most would be. So actually, like, what a cool way to celebrate 2 people who have meant so much to this season in general, in slightly different ways. Like, I think one probably was on the field the best player at his position, and the other obviously delivered the win, but also took on this almost godlike persona off it from the fans as well, and everything when it came to the chants. And I think for a guy who's definitely taken his lumps during his career, at pretty much like his whole career in various different circumstances, to get that kind of reception from the fans, to be adopted by the Detroit community, is awesome. So love that they both won it.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love Penei Sewell, so he was the guy I voted for. Everything that Anthony said regarding him getting his brand new contract is unbelievably deserved. He's just phenomenal, leading the team in the huddle before the games. It's just a joy to watch him pump them up, pumps me up, and I'm just sitting there with a beer. So it's just fantastic. And like you say, he's going to help lead us through the next 10 years, hopefully, of Lions football.
But it was a hot dog you sat down with, right? That's what Fox News told us.
Yeah, I sit down with hot dogs, beers, and all sorts.
Yeah, I think these guys were definitely deserved winners. I mean, if anything, I really wanted Sewell to win, because you just watch him before every game giving the kind of hype man chat beforehand, and you're like, that's my guy. And I think that's what this is all about. And I think the biggest thing about Goff is how much he's turned people from doubters to believers. And it's just inspirational to have your career turned around like that in front of your very eyes. Even the people who doubted him the most are saying, well, I still want to go with Hendon Hooker, but I accept that maybe you've got to do Goff now. Like, even his worst detractors have gone to that point. He's got them on their knees, and I love it. Ash, any thoughts?
Yeah, I completely relate. I think I voted for Sewell, but yeah, both worthy winners, and hopefully they both stick around and we can build around them to continue this streak of goodwill for team. Like, Sewell is going to be like a cornerstone of this foundation now, hopefully. Sort of good to stick around, be a Lion all his career. And Goff, if it's the same, if he stays a Lion until he retires, right now I'll take that. But it's a long way to continue.
All right, time for our next award, and it is the Game of the Year, the first of those voted for by the ROTL Lions crew, and this one's going to be presented by Ryan Farton.
Yeah, game of the year. Nominees are week 1 against Kansas City, then week 5 away in Tampa, and then the Monday night football game of week 8 against the Las Vegas Raiders, week 10 against the LA Chargers, and then the fantastic last second comeback against the Bears of week 11, and then the Christmas Eve game against the Minnesota Vikings, where we finally clinched the division, and obviously the wildcard game against the LA Rams, and the game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So plenty of big games there, bring back loads of great memories for us all. But the winner is the wildcard win against the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah, it had to be, I think, really. I mean, first home playoff game in 30 years, snapped an 8-game losing streak, and really, started off a run of 2 playoff wins. So hard to not love it. Boys, thoughts on the game? And I mean, it seems like the nominations list is so large because there were so many damn good wins.
Yeah, pretty much. Even the Raiders game, I know obviously it's partly on there because it was a win, but also partly because it was the debut of our lovely new helmet, which you can see behind Ryan now hanging up on the I assume it's a wardrobe, but just so many damn good games. But that was the one, as we mentioned earlier, that's the one that gave us the catharsis, gave us the emotion, and for the most part, it was a pretty damn good game to watch as well. We had really good moments. They had really good moments. Obviously, Puka Nacua went off against us, but in the end, our grit won out, and we won that playoff game. It just had to win.
What I noticed, I think, from the nominations was that there was, out of those 8 games, I think there were 6 of them that were all primetime games. So, going from a team that the year before we didn't even have one game given to us in primetime other than the usual Thanksgiving game, which you could argue is that even a primetime game. But that's 6 wins there in primetime last year, which, just shows the trajectory we've been on, and, that we are most definitely for real, and we'll be coming back again next season even stronger.
Just to say, Ryan McCluskey is now here, and hello, Ryan. Hope you're well.
Yep, good. Thanks, guys. How are you all?
All good. All
Great.
good. The prep doc has the list of the awards, who's giving them out, and it's got links to the nominations and winners. I don't know if you've seen that.
I have, yeah, and I've got some screenshots, the one that's I know who's what. Where's what?
Good. Love it. All right. Ash, you are up next, announcing the play of the year.
Of course, who else on this panel except for the one person who sits there reading actual books for the players could announce this? So the plays of the year, we've got the Brian Branch pick 6 versus KC week 1 against Mahomes, the eventual Super Bowl MVP. Hutchinson's interception against Carolina, the highs of him creating a turnover to the low of him having to go out the game afterwards with a dead leg sustained and the tackle that he got after the interception. The aforementioned earlier in the moments of the year, Craig Reynolds' block for Amon-Ra Brown touchdown at Tampa Bay. The Monty TD against the Chargers, where we came out in the wrong personnel and Goff had to check the play at the line and it led to a 70-yard rushing touchdown. The Aiden Hutchinson strip sack safety with the punt celebration against the Bears to seal off that win against them. The JMO Superman leap on the touchdown against the Saints. The one I put forward, the Jalen Reeves-Maven fake punt pass to Khalil Dorsey versus the Dallas Cowboys. And then the JMO end-around reverse versus San Francisco to get that divisional game round going in such a good way. Oh, actually, it wasn't divisional, it was championship. I had to correct myself there. But of course, as we mentioned earlier, there can only be one winner, and it is the play I've got drawn up here. It is the Craig Reynolds block for the Amon-Ra St. Brown touchdown against the Bucks. So on 3rd and 13 from the Tampa Bay 27, got through a shallow crosser to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Needing help, Reynolds, running a wheel route, galloped from the backfield to deliver the block heard around the world. That block sprung St. Brown free for the touchdown to give the Lions a decisive lead.
Ryan, you mentioned it earlier that you felt shamed for not picking it as the moment of the year in the fans' vote, but it gets awarded here.
Yeah, sorry. It was it was just phenomenal. Like I say, just seeing the play drawn up there again, like brings back great memories from it. So I was lucky enough to be at the game, and it was literally right in front of me. So you could just see it developing and hearing the crunch. And obviously the stadium was invaded once again, as it always was on the road this year, with Lions fans, and it was just a hell of a moment. And you just knew the team were winning this game, and it was just definitely that's going to be one of my favorite plays ever. I think it's that memorable. It's just phenomenal.
Ryan McCluskey, it was a heck of a play, and now block of the year as well.
It was just, I wanted to because it was funny. I love just watching guys get absolutely trucked. Like, just nothing gets me going more than that. And I like Craig. Like, if it was anyone else other than Craig, I probably don't vote for it. Like, if it's someone like, say, someone more expected, but no, he was the least person I expected to deliver the killing blow. And yeah, it was crucial as well at the time when you look at the down and the distance of where we were. It was something that they drafted up, and more often than not, those players really don't often result in such big players. So yeah, it was perfect. And that game was just so close. I said both games against the Bucks, they went down to like a knife edge, and that was one of the games that really said to me, yeah, we can do it. We can go into a hostile environment and we can get the job done against the team wearing their sexy cream school uniforms. But yeah, we shit all over them.
And it was a heck of a play, mate. I mean, the effort that you have to put in to get from A to B for Reynolds is exceptional.
Yeah, I think it kind of just sums up the identity of this team, really. They just fight really hard for one another, and when the dirty work's there and needs to be done, someone will always step up and do it. Because, without that, it doesn't happen. So, yeah, I think it just, again, embodies everything this team is about, really. So it's almost kind of symbolic that it's a worthy winner, because that's how this team plays. They're just going to kick your ass and they're going to run it over you, and that's what we did with this. So, yeah, it was a really good winner, but a lot of good candidates in there as well, which is also great.
Yeah, Tom, in a game where we won by 14 points, but we couldn't get anything going in the run, converting a 3rd and 13 like that was huge.
Yeah, massive for the outcome, and ultimately what it meant down towards the end of the season as well. But I think, as Ant just touched on there, I mean, that officially or unofficially won block of the year in the NFL. Monty 75-yard touchdown run, literally as of 2 days ago, was the NFL.com's #1 run of the year. And I think I voted for something completely different again. It's just pretty exciting when you have plays which literally the whole league is kind of recognizing.
Yeah, I watched those runs, and the Lions had 3 in the top 10. It was absolutely beautiful. All right, up to number 5, and it's going to be Tom Wilkinson presenting the Man of the Year.
Yeah, and a quick clarification just as people are watching. So, Man of the Year, there will be different Player of the Year, MVP kind of awards later, but Man of the Year is obviously something slightly bigger than that. So, we got 9 nominees. We'd love to put the entire roster on there, but for nominees, we have Alex Anzalone, we have Frank Ragnow, Penei Sewell, Jared Goff, Aiden Hutchinson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Teddy Bridgewater, Taylor Decker, and Benito Jones, hopefully for more than just the overalls. So the winner of the Man of the Year 2023/24 is Frank Ragnow. And absolutely well deserved. It continues to be an absolute machine for the Lions. I think we all saw how beat up, banged up he was, even in training camp. But to keep coming out there, only missing a couple of games, even when he's getting surgical procedures in between the games, and still to be a second team All Pro for the second time in his career is absolutely out of this world incredible. And that's only on the field. Obviously, off the field, the presence in the locker room, the way he represents the organization, and then on top of that, his Rags Remembered Foundation, it provides outdoor experiences for grieving children, which is obviously, if anything, a lot more important than what he's doing on the field. So he was our nomination for Walter Payton Man of the Year for the Lions. What more has the man got to do? Incredible.
Yeah, this award is more about how you conduct yourself off the field, how you are in the locker room, how you are in like post and presses as well, how you control your emotions. And then we all know Frank, like the guy's injury listed. The injury report for Frank is longer than like Taylor Swift's tour dates. Like it's ridiculous. Like the body, what he will put himself through week in, week out. Like say toe, back, knee. Like he's basically the Tin Man of centres. Like you just oil him up and he just squeaks through the year. And I can't give him any more credit for that. And yet, what he does on and off the field, like say, the fishing, his mental health, the charity, everyone he looks after. It's just, I think it's the most prestigious award. I also think the Walter Payton Man of the Year award is also the most prestigious, like handed out by the NFL, because it just means a lot to, like I said, the city, the kids, like I say, the people you look after, the people you support. A lot of them, like I say, need a lot of help, and they're in a very privileged position of football players. Some of them don't realise it and they never quite understand it, but only small of them truly grasp what it means and what difference they can make on and off the field. And those are the ones that live long in memory. And like I say, Frank, not here for a long time, but he's here for a good time. So I'm going to make the most of him for how long he's got here. I mean, he's not dying, but yeah, he's a sorely broken man. But yeah, he is going to keep plodding on until he can snap no more.
Yeah, it's hard to kind of follow up with what you guys have said there. It's really basically summed it up perfectly. It's just, and it is a realistically award for what you do off the field, and like you say, you covered aspect of that. Just seems a remarkable human being, and what he does is a credit, and he's someone that you'll always have his back, and he's credit to the organization, most definitely.
He's also got to go down as one of the biggest draft surprises of the last decade. How high he was taken, like I say, compared to how good he's become, I don't think anyone would have ever thought that happened. I was surprised when we took him that high. Like, I thought, okay, good centre, but yeah, he has been one of the biggest risk for your awards, I'd say, the last 10, 15 years, how he's panned out.
I remember Daniel Jeremiah's top 50. He didn't appear at all until he did his update the night before the draft. And his final update, he was like, I was hearing things from scouts. I needed to go back and watch him. He had to be in this top 50, but I'm guessing now, but he was somewhere in the 40s or something like that. It wasn't like he just bumped him into the top 20. So I remember, similarly, hearing that pick and being like, oh, I don't love it. And, what a player, what a man, what a great representation of this city.
It's quite interesting how you're talking about the draft at the moment and people are talking about Jackson Powers-Johnson and where he ranks in the modicum of how good centre prospects were. And I've seen some chat on both the PFF Discord and the Draft Network Discord saying basically Frank is the best centre prospect there has ever been in the NFL history of the NFL draft. And then Jackson Powers-Johnson and Tyler Linderbaum are like under that, somewhere, one's above the other, but not really sure which way. And I'm like, that is not how I remember this conversation going in 2016. 16? 17? Whatever it was. I can't remember, but
18, I think.
18. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe even 19. I don't know. My mind's completely gone. But he just comes across as just a solid human being. And instead of it being called Man of the Year, if it was just called Human Being of the Year, Human Being of the Year who happens to play football, then it aptly describes what it's all about. And Frank, is just awesome to watch as a human being. So absolutely love it. Ash, and any thoughts?
You guys hit the nail on the head pretty much. Like, I'm trying to see it now. Last week, every time I'm trying to see where he did come in that final 4.0. But he is just, as I said, we saw Ragnar is the cornerstone as well, like leading from the middle. He's part of, like, as much as Jonah's been good, Ragnar is the reason why that interior kept going the past couple of years when we've had to keep rotating guards in and out because of injuries and bad play and such. He's been a constant there. With injuries, he's missed one game this season when he was getting that meniscus cleanup. This is a guy who, I know it keeps getting brought up every single time that people discuss Ragnar. He played with a fractured throat. Like, he is exactly what this regime is about, and that's why they were so keen to listen to him when they came in and he begged them to keep Hank around. It's paying dividends. Even his behind the scenes work, sort of knowing what works for the team in terms of coaching and that. He's just so good.
And any thoughts? Yeah.
Not really much more you can say about him, is there? There's just he's the most lovable guy on the team, and God knows how much pain he's fighting through, but he does, and again, just epitomizes what the team is about. Like, no matter how beat up he is, he's going to go out there and beat up other guys. So I love him on the field and off the field. Like, his Grizzly monster. I don't really watch or listen to anything much outside of other bits that I do online. His is like the one player thing that I will sit and take time and watch and listen to, because I do quite enjoy it and him. So yeah, I hope he's around for a long time. Yeah, I know probably won't be, but yeah, he's the toughest guy on the team without a shadow of a doubt.
Joshua Mercer just says he has to be hired to the staff as an assistant if he wants it after he retires, right? And sure, but I can just imagine him just being on a boat fishing all the time and just staying away from football, frankly. That was not a pun I meant to make.
I'd make him Hank's assistant if he's still here by then, and just have him ready to take over when he's done.
All right. Next award is the Coach of the Year, which is me again. So, Coach of the Year, and I can't believe the list is this long, but I tried to get the guys to narrow it down and they refused. So, we have 9 potential candidates for Coach of the Year. And they are running backs and assistant head coach Scotty Montgomery, offensive line coach Hank Fraley, defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn, offensive coordinator Ben Johnson, head coach Dan Campbell, special teams coordinator Dave Phipp, linebackers coach Kelvin Shepherd, quarterbacks coach Mark Brunel, and tight ends coach Steve Hayden. In their way, they have all had magnificent seasons, but there can only be one. There must only be one. The winner is Dan Campbell. Could it be anyone else? He has delivered the winning culture he promised back in 2021. And not only has he delivered the winning culture that he promised, because we won last year, didn't we? But it wasn't enough and he wasn't satisfied. And he came back this year and delivered this team their first NFC Championship appearance in 32 years? I can't count. The only question really for Dan Campbell is, how far can he take us?
To the moon.
Say it.
Multiple Super Bowls.
Yeah!
Easy. Because I know everyone goes, and everyone knows on the outside at least about all the speeches and that, but the dude's damn clever as well. Like, he's, to use an English term that's usually about strikers, that he's a fox in the box when it comes to coaching. Like, he's clever. Like, I know in the YouTube chat, me and Matt have had a bit of a discussion about the not going for the field goals in the championship game and that. This is a guy we've got to remember when he first came in, everyone was scared. He's ultra conservative because he's been that Parcel's route and he's all hard and that. He'll be ultra conservative. No, this is a guy that understands his team, knows, do I trust my kicker here to kick from this range when he's been historically the worst kicker from this range in NFL history? Or do I trust the guys that have done it for me week in, week out? And he did it. It gets him the reputation of all these big balls. Oh, yeah, he's doing this tournament games. He understands what his team can do, what his players can do, and puts them in the best positions to win. And then if they don't execute, then he says, okay, maybe that's on me for not putting you in the right position, but we all see you just head up. He just is the perfect head coach of what we need right now. And even if he, let's say, he's hitting here in 5 minutes as a press release, he has to retire for some medical reason or something. He goes down in the pantheon of Lions coach right up there, maybe just below Buddy Parker probably, but he's up there for Lions head coaches.
I think the fact that over his tenure, we're now we've gone for it on 62 fourth downs. I think it's something like that in his tenure here with the most aggressive on fourth down. I think I love the fact. I hate this award. It's my least favorite award because I just don't like beginning coach of the year because it just seems unfair. I wouldn't have gone for him, but you can make a credible case for every single. Well, no, not every single one of them. I think 6 or 7 of them. I make a credible case. But
I'm wondering who you're calling out at this point in a veiled manner.
Oh, it's AG. I'm not going to pull no punches, but yeah, Dan doesn't take the limelight. The fact he goes from fourth down says, I trust my players to do it. I won't take credit for winning the game. I will make those decisions. I will put those decisions in the hands of my coordinators, my center, and Goff to get the ball out, get the play out quickly. And yeah, he does that more than anyone. And he says the team, like I say, as a whole, we will fail or we will succeed. Like I say, I will never take any credit for any of it. Like I say, if they convert fourth down, they did it. If they didn't convert fourth down, well, they didn't do it. Like I say, but they know when it went wrong. There's no grey area with it. Right? There's no in between. Like I say, we either didn't convert it because Josh dropped it, or we did convert it because we faked a punt. Like I say, and everyone learns where there's always a lesson to be learned. We either converted it or we didn't. So yeah, he will literally put he will put it in the hands of the best people, execute. And that is, for me, him. There are coaches out there that will never go for it fourth down. They're just so conservative. They will just kick it away and we'll fight another day. There are not enough other days in the NFL to fight. You don't get the ball back. Like I say, you've got to live down now, and you've got to live by the sword and die by the sword. And we have had our heads chopped off on we can count, but we've also put daggers through more people's hearts so we can count too. So yeah, that's just how we're going to be. And he will never change. It doesn't matter what anyone said this year. He will still go for it 20, 30, fourth down conversion next year. And he might only convert 20%. We could lose loads of games, like I say, and he could take lots and lots of flack for it. And it'll be water off a duck's back. It won't bother him in the slightest. Like you say, he'll just learn from it. So yeah, I'm fine living with questionable play calls. I'm not okay with, we'll protect our little lead, we'll punt away, and then we'll just make sure we just dig in. We just dig in and stop them. No. Just win the game there and then. That is the mantra that I live by, and he embodies it the most.
And to succeed in the NFL, coach, player, whatever, you have to have an ego. You just have to. Realistically, you need that to drive your confidence. You need that for a variety of reasons. And yet to have someone who is such a good ambassador, and also it's great now. We've had a really positive season. We're celebrating lots of things. But again, season and a half ago, Sheeta's having to come out and defend that this is the right direction for the franchise. But throughout all of the last 3 years, he's been a fantastic ambassador. And it's so easy now, I think, for coaches to stand up in front of the press, in front of the media, and either deflect responsibility or pretend to take responsibility, but you can see through it immediately. It's pretty rare you get someone who actually gets up there, deflects any praise, and genuinely wants to take accountability for everything that doesn't go perfectly in a game. And that's, I think, what I respect more than anything is, yes, we're winning now, everyone's happy, but even when we lost 9 games or we didn't win for 10 games in that first season, He was up there taking accountability. He was emotional about the times when it went wrong. And I think that has just endeared him to so many people. And you can agree or disagree with different individual decisions, but either way, he's again just similar to Frank, such a great ambassador for this franchise and what we've been able to enjoy this year. But he has been the same exact person throughout the entire 3 years, even when things weren't going right. And eventually, I mean, the reality is there's going to be a time again in the future when things don't go right. And I bet he's still exactly the same person until his final day in the building.
That's it. He's unapologetically himself, and that is why he will succeed in life. This is why he's got here in the first place as a player, as a coach, as an interim head coach. He's gotten these opportunities because of who he is. This whole the grit factor, the determination, the work harder than anybody else ethic is why he got an opportunity as a head coach. So you can't then get to head coach and then shy away from that. Like, do what got you there and carry on progressing that way. And ever since the start, he, like Tom says, he's been himself, and he will not shy away from it. He'll take ownership for his mistakes. He will adapt himself, but his core philosophy remains the same. And it also kind of helps that he does have a genuine sort of bond to the city as well. Like, a lot of head coaches don't when they go places. It's just a job for them. This kind of really feels personal for him as well, given his time here as well. And he understands the issues here, and he takes that into his emotion as well. Like, it cares. We've seen him cry. We've seen him be angry. We've seen him be elated. And you can relate to him on so many levels that he's feeling what you're feeling as players. Like, there's too many head coaches and that out there who, again, has been alluded to. They're robots. Yeah. Oh, we'll shake it off. All this media spiel, all these standard answers and all crap like that. Dan doesn't do that. He feels exactly the way you do. And, you can relate to that. And for him to get where he promised, he said to be, it's all going to stop. It's going to get better. Just trust me. Like he said to the players in Hard Knocks, just trust me. And people have trusted him. And look what he's done in 3 years. We're one of the hardest jobs in the NFL. Like, he's got them to a championship game. It just does not get talked about often enough, and he is not thought about often enough just because of who he is. But, the established media, the established people in there, they don't like it. Screw them. Screw the lot of them. Dan's ours. We'll continue upsetting people. We'll continue proving people wrong with him.
All right, time for the next award. And the first one up for Ryan McCluskey, which is Signing of the Year. Coming your way after these messages.
The award is that big that it's frozen him.
It took me a while to work out he was frozen from it. I just thought he was maybe kind of standing very still. But
well, there's a massive nomination in this one, so like this is what's going to break the system.
Oh God, yeah, of course.
Ryan, you good, mate?
Yes, folks.
Right, I've got it. So the nominations for the Signing of the Year 2023-24 are David Montgomery. We have Graham Glasgow, Hindle Vildor, Jalen Reeves-Mabin, and Jake McQuaid. So that's the running back, the guard, the cornerback, the linebacker, and the sexy long snapper. So without a shadow of a doubt, the winner of the Signing of the Year for 2023-2024 is, of course, it's David Montgomery. Everyone's forgotten favourite running back. That he is the equivalent of the Toy Story toy that Chicago didn't want to play with anymore. He was Andy. Like say, whoever they got was Buzz. But no, we were the old man in that chair that, paints his shoes, shines his little eyes. That's what we did to him. But yeah, stellar signing. Like I say, he had incredible ground on the year. He had a stellar year, even though he missed time with the fractured ribs. He battled niggles, he battled injuries, but yeah, he was the thunder to our lightning. He was brilliant through the tackles. He did the dirty work in between on short yardage, and he broke off some, like I said, brilliant runs against the Chargers. Phenomenal signing this year, worth every penny. Like I say, even though we had a great back last year, we definitely upgraded. Like I said, this guy can do it all. He's short, he's stout, he's built like an absolute, like a silver birch, got trees for legs, and yeah, very humble man as well. When you talk to him after games, he's a man of very few words. Doesn't like being interviewed, does he? Like I say, he's quite quiet in that sense, but yeah, a great signing, and long may it continue. I think he is going to have himself quite a career here.
I mean, he had a lot to live up to, didn't he? $6 million a year average value. And let's face it, there's not a great history of paying running backs any sort of money whatsoever. It seems to be the more you pay them on the second contract, the worse they do. And so coming in, it's like, okay, he's been a fantasy running back one for some time, but he's not actually performed up to his potential. Can he do it here? And behind this offensive line, he's just been absolutely fantastic. And, you know, we let Jamal go for a little bit less money, but not a lot less money. And people were thinking, can he get the 17 touchdowns and be the replacement for that guy? Well, he may not have got 17, he got 13. But the majority of them weren't from 1 yard out. And as we mentioned earlier, getting the NFL's run of the year for that 75-yarder against the Chargers. I mean, this is an exceptional play, but all the way through the year, he absolutely just led the way. He allowed Gibbs time to acclimatise to the league as well. I mean, you can't overstate how much that meant to the team, because Gibbs did not start quickly, but damn did he finish well. And as a Thunder and Lightning kind of foil for each other, I think it's perfect. So the next 2 years for the Lions look so promising just because of these two, and David's going to be, dare I say it, because of who we are, the bigger part of that, despite Gibbs being the flashier part.
And he's come from the enemy as well. It's like, it's not often you get guys coming from the other NFC North teams and just absolutely, you know, because when you've been with Chicago for so long and, you know, they draft you, all that sort of stuff, you go to another one of the teams and your performance never quite lives up to the hype, and, you know, you never get really the same with them. But he's just kind of completely bought in here. Like, he's come over from Chicago. He doesn't care. Like, he wears our colors now. He's been great for us. He's got an opportunity to do much more than he ever was able to do with them, and kind of showed them up for not staying loyal to their players, because Monty's done a lot of hard work for them. Like, he's ground out 1,000 yards a season for a trash-ass team over there. And at the first available opportunity, they're like, yeah, see you, bye. We're going to show you the door. We're not going to show you any loyalty to it. And, you know, we do. And that's, you know, this is why we get the best of him. He's had one of his best years. And again, he's working in rotation there. He's kind of been the lead guy here. We've allowed him to sort of flourish a bit more, use Jameer for certain things, use him for certain things. But at the end of the day, like, it doesn't work without Monty. When he wasn't in the team, you know, we missed him for a little while. It's like that run game just didn't work as well, because that's just how big he's become to us. And again, it's rare to see it from one of the rivalry sides. So, like, that just speaks to him and his commitment to the game, and not showing loyalty to former employers or anything like that. So, I absolutely love him. And yeah, hopefully he's just going to carry on, and hopefully we'll get that ring for him.
I think we're burying the lead not talking more about Jake McQuaid, but in the sake of keeping it on Monty, I think one of the most telling things when he was signed was, if you can avoid the kind of nonsense majority of Twitter and vocal Bears fans, if you spoke to actual rational Bears fans, of which there are some out there, they were actually pretty gutted he left and that he went to us. And everyone else was saying, oh, you're just replacing with someone who's the same as Jamal Williams, blah, 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 blah. And it kind of just stunk of people who had maybe drafted him in fantasy football and then were upset that he didn't get the numbers they were hoping for, and just assumed that's all him and nothing to do with the shit show that was around him in Chicago. So I thought it was interesting that the only people who were really shouting about it were the rational Bears fans, who was like, no, this guy can play. We didn't do anything to set him up, but he can play and he's probably going to do well for you. And then obviously we draft Gibbs a month later, and Monty goes firmly to the back of the excitement pile because you've got a nice new shiny toy. And to do what he did this year, I just thought was, again, super, super impressive. Would thoroughly recommend people go and watch the St. Brown Bros podcast he was on as well, just because he's pretty damn funny. He's pretty dry as well, which I appreciate. So yeah, again, just another good guy on the field, good guy off the field, kind of great signing. And let's be honest, this was a really successful year, but when you look down that list of nominees, it's not strong as most of the others. So there was a couple good guys. Glasgow obviously had a brilliant year as well. But I think what Monty did was super impressive.
Come on, Ash. Let's hear your Jake McQuaid rubbish. Well, I mean, I attribute that to you, but maybe Ant was more to blame. I don't know.
I was just wondering, who was the invite supposed to go to that got lost in the post? How did Kindle Vildor get? Who was that supposed to go to?
Oh, that's me. You're talking about our cornerback one.
Exactly. Like that guy we signed off the street and he was our cornerback one down his chest. Better him than bloody CD Juice, who was in the nominations before me and Ant rightly stepped in and put the true hero signings onto the ballot card here.
It was going to Will Harris, but like him on the field, it got lost. So there it goes. But we do have to give out another award for this, and this is an award for democracy, because Matt could have been a dictator here and kept Jake McQuaid off this nominations list, and he didn't. He chose the path of democracy. So big up victory for that.
List and thought, who's Jake McQuaid? I bet they had to Google him.
I just did it just so I could see the look on Matt's face right now. When someone earlier said he looked like Pee Wee Herman, now he's really, really giving that. That look now is just about perfect.
But honourable mention to Jalen Reeves-Maybin, who went away, came back, and did a stellar job. Like I say, he realised the grass weren't greener in Houston. Like I say, got good money, but thought, no, I'm going to come back. I've still got a job to do. And yeah, he did it. Like I say, and he not just on special teams, he actually played some good defence as well.
Best year of his career, easily.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt.
Ryan Farden, any thoughts?
No, not really. You covered it, yeah.
Fair. All right. And we're moving on to the next one, mate, and it's you. And it is the award for, and I'm going to draw this out just in case, the most improved player of 23-24.
So we're on the Detroit Lions most improved player, and again, like in years past, this has kind of been a barren category some years because we've just not had anyone who has. But this year we've got a stacked lineup here for you. So we have our defensive tackle Aleem McNeil, our linebacker Derek Barnes, safety Ifiatu Melifonwu, wide receiver Jameson Williams, linebacker Alex Anzalone, linebacker / special teams extraordinaire Jalen Reeves-Maybin, and cornerback Kindle Vildor, who apparently has got another invite through the post he shouldn't have, according to Wright. Weird that 6 of the 7 guys here are on defense, which maybe says a lot about this. But overall, it goes to the guy I voted for. I'm actually quite glad this came through because he has been a huge improvement this year and a big cog to our re-energized defensive line. Of course, it is Aleem McNeil, our defensive tackle. It's taken a little bit of time to get both facets of the game going, but he has been an absolute stud this year. I said 3 years ago when we drafted him, he was going to become Kenny Clark, and he's just about there. Thoroughly deserved, but again, in a good bunch of candidates. But Aleem McNeil is the Detroit Lions' most improved player, as voted for us here at ROTL Lions UK.
Yes, it's one of those that I vote for someone else, but only through gritted teeth. I mean, Aleem is the 8th highest graded defensive tackle in football per PFF. And to go from where he has been, which is a man with promise, a man who we hope breaks out, to someone who legitimately is a weapon in the centre of that defensive line when we sorely needed someone to back up Aiden Hutchinson. Like, we've got two of the four pieces we need. And I mean, my only fear is in all of the people that we've listed that we need to pay in the next few years, Aleem's name is not getting mentioned, and the production is starting to get worrying if you're drawing the purse strings for the Detroit Lions, because Aleem McNeil is going to get paid, and I really, really hope it's here. 43 pressures on the year, I think the second on the team. We can't afford to give him up. He's been an absolute wrecking ball in plenty of games this year, so well-deserved. Shout out to Iffy, who I've been on the train of all year long. I thought he was a deserving winner as well. I mean, he has single-handedly ended the Lions' career of Tracy Walker, probably, which is sad, but also is a win for the Lions, and he's been fantastic too. But yeah, Aleem, fantastic player.
I think you could easily make the argument that most improved in terms of where they were versus where they've got to. If he obviously was, I don't want to say nothing, that's disrespectful, but you know what I mean? He wasn't on the field, and then he's turned into a really key part of the defense the last few weeks. For me, I voted for McNeil, and similar to Ant, I'm delighted it came in, because McNeil was probably the guy when we were podding in training camp. He was the guy that I was probably giving not the harshest treatment to, but I think he underachieved his first 2 years. And that's not to say he was a bad player, but it frustrated me, all the flashes we got and all the things we heard during training camps. And then he was just inconsistent. And I'll be honest, I was pretty disappointed with given how he came out of college, how his run D was the first couple of years. So then when I heard he was losing 20 pounds, I was like, okay, great. It's good that you're putting the time and the effort in. But I remember that before the first game, we were talking about things we wanted to see. And I was pretty cynical that it was going to work, him dropping this weight, because I thought it was potentially going to make him more of a liability in the run game. And, you know, this was a Lions team that got gashed against Carolina towards the end of the 2022 season. All that to say, could not have been more impressed with everything he did this year, to be honest. And to see him take the step he did after putting in all that work in the offseason, but to be a force not only as that penetrating 3-tech, but also against the run as well. It's just, yeah, it was one which I'll happily eat that L. And, you know, I'm sure there'll be many others along the way too, but he was a guy I was cynical before the season to see the step he took. Obviously he did have the injuries, which is a shame, but you know, the sky's the limit for next year.
Yeah, this award for me, 3 credible winners. Could have given it to Derek, Aleem, or Ife. Like I said, they've all had their struggles, but one of them did stand out in terms of pure production. Yeah, Aleem went from not complacent, but he went from a big cuddly Care Bear, just kind of plugging up the middle, swallowing up the run, to this year turning out to be what would be a large band-aid across a huge gash of a very non-existent defensive line behind Aiden. He went out there and he had to step up where a lot of others let themselves down. And he took that upon himself to go out there and say, I will get better at rushing the passer. If other guys aren't do it, then I will have to find more ways, get more creative to help pick up the slack of other people. And he took it on. Like I say, he lost the weight, he got faster, he got meaner, he got a better finisher. And yeah, great year. Like I say, he wasn't just content with being a consistent stat padding, like I say, blocker in the middle, like just swallowing up runs for 2 years. That wasn't enough for him. He said, this year, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to be a weapon. Like I said, I'm going to help win and generate pressure at the middle. Consistently as well. Fairly consistent. So for me, yeah, next year, the bar for him, like I say, is a lot higher now. And I think his own bar, personally, I think now he's seen he can do it next year. Go get 6.5 sacks. Go get 7 sacks. He's very doable. And he could very well price himself out of a contract here. He may be going to chase a larger deal in future. And honestly, I hope he does have higher aspirations to go out there one day, want to get the biggest payday he can, as a premier pass rushing, as a interior tackle. And yeah, for me, he took massive strides this year. And if he doesn't play that well this year, we don't make it to NFC Championship. I think it's as simple as that. Like, he was pretty integral to our run at times because the other guys in the line, like I said, just lacked consistency. He was pretty much ticking over nicely all year. So yeah, I'm really happy with him.
Ash, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the end of Aleem's third season, so we've got one more.
Yep, which is why today on Lions Wire, they've released an article predicting what contracts Aleem McNeil might sign. If a contract extension, you guys are literally in tune with Lions Wire. And let's just say, yeah, people who think he's going to sign cheap, you might want to go read the article because the numbers they were predicting are a bit eye-popping and he deserves it. And yeah, for me, I'm kind of straddled the middle. Like, I personally voted for Iffy. I think he had the bigger jump, but Aleem definitely got the consistency. We're talking about a guy who showed flashes last year. People might not remember, he set the PFF record for pressures from an interior defensive lineman last year against the New York Giants with 12, I think it was. He broke the record that Dexter Lawrence set himself a couple of weeks before. He showed flashes last year of what he could be. And this year, yeah, he was dropping the weight, putting the physical work in, taking up the leadership mantle on that defensive line with our previous leader on there deciding to become a Twitter diva. Enjoy your non-Super Bowl ring sitting on the Chiefs practice squad, my friend. And him just stepping up, and the impacts were shown when he had to go to IR for a couple of weeks. That interior got a lot weaker. We're having to slide commission there more, Pascal in there more. Aleem's impact's going to be there. And as Michael quite rightly predicts in the YouTube chat, it's going to be interesting to see what Williams can do with this guy, because Williams, look what he did with Jeffrey Simmons. Look what he did with Tart, someone who got drafted in a similar position to Aleem. He's a really damn good interior defensive lineman now in the league. We could really see a big jump from Aleem next year under this new the new D-line coach, because, well, we heard the stories about what Trevondre Sweat was saying about him at the Senior Bowl. We might see it in practice here with Aleem now.
Yeah, do go and read Jeff Risden's article on Lions Wire about it. I have just read it myself. It was released 3 hours ago, so we are on the money with this. But Aleem's going to be on the money if Jeff is right with his prediction. Right, our next award is going to be Ryan McCluskey as well. So I'm going to draw this out, Ryan. Hopefully you've got this up. But Ryan McCluskey going to be presenting the Rookie of the Year.
So we've had many famous battles across the years. Like you say, you've had the Montagues, the Capulets. This year we've got the Crimson Tide and the Hawkeyes, two families. Like I say, star-crossed lovers, not destined to be. But yeah, so the rookies candidates for the year this year are on the red side. We've got Brian Branch and we've got Jahmyr Gibbs, and on the yellow and black side we've got Sam Laporta and we've got Jack Campbell. All very worthy in their own right. Lots of people question Jahmyr Gibbs, not his talent, but the team that took him and where they took him after handing out David Montgomery a fairly luxurious contract. Tight end, a lot of people said, Lions don't need a tight end. They've whiffed on multiple tight ends. They just traded a top 5 tight end away. What are they doing? They're crazy. Everyone said, Jack Campbell. That's too high for an inside linebacker. Like say that plays the run well, but coverage is a bit of a do-it-all. Jack of all trades, master of none. Too high. And Brian Branch, people like, okay, yeah, that was a good one. Like everyone was upset it felt like that. But yeah, and the winner is, there can only be one winner. Like I say, it is Mr. Sam Laporta. It is the guy that proved that everyone wrong for Detroit. Like I say, they've taken tight ends before, very high. We all remember Stone, Hans Ebron. Like I say, we dealt TJ away. We went back into the market and we went out there and we got a guy that, for me, was one of my favourite players in college. Insane rookie year. Like I say, receptions. Like I say, one of the best, if not the best, rookie tight end season of all time, potentially. So the 34th overall pick, so he was expensive. But yeah, he was absolutely brilliant. We saw him play through quite a serious injury on short notice and turn it around so quickly. You could not keep him off the field. Like you say, a very painful knee injury, a big bulky brace, but it would not keep him out of the postseason. He said he will power through it, and he was just as effective. Like I said, he showed that he could block in line. He showed that he could play in the slot. He also showed that in the open field, he has got the yak. Like I say, he milking the yak all day long. Like I say, he can spin, he can stiff arm, he can make those tight contested catches at first down marker. And I dare any future tight end to come in the next few years and try replicate what he's done next year. This class in general is going to be, it might not get lived up to for the next decade, because some of the tight end play from rookies this year was fantastic. But Sam was head and shoulders above everyone else. But yeah, this was a very difficult award to pick, because every one of them stepped up in their rookie year and they made huge plays. Some started slower than others. Like I say, Jack and Jameer started a lot slower. Like I say, but they came strong in the middle of the end of the season. Whereas Sam, Brian hit the tracks running straight away, but they did get picked on. They did struggle some weeks. So yeah, collectively as a unit, going to go down as one of the best first two draft classes in the last 2 decades, potentially, when all said and done. Just another Brad Holmes masterclass. But yeah, the Lagota takes home the spoils.
Yeah, I think this was maybe one of the hardest awards to pick, because they've all been so good. I do think that Jack was maybe a slightly distant fourth compared to the other three, but Branch setting the tone in game 1 and then just being, what was he, number 3 or number 4 slot corner in all of the NFL? And he might be number 3, which is insane. Jameer Gibbs not getting it is ridiculous considering how he finished the season, but Laporta was Mr. Consistent. You heard in camp that he looked absolutely exceptional. You heard all of the stuff about what he was looking like. And then actually the first couple of games, that didn't really come to fruition, and everyone was like, was that just bluster? Maybe the people in camp, the reporters, don't know what they're talking about. And then from like game 3 or something, he was incredible. And he's really defined what a rookie tight end can do. I mean, Pitts might have had more yards, I think, potentially, at least in the regular season. But in touchdowns, it's unrivaled.
Yeah, the only one.
He had one in London, didn't he? And that was it for Pitts. Because the running joke was he got more touchdowns in England than the US for ages. But, for Sam, even Amon-Ra St. Brown didn't earn Goff's trust quicker. And he's his go-to guy. It took him half a season to get Goff's trust to throw it to him, and Laporta's done it in his first month. As a rookie tight end, when you've got all these weapons to throw at, he's like, nah, I'm gonna go for the rookie tight end in there. So what he's done, and it's a difficult position. We've seen, even with TJ, we spent big picks on them, 10 picks on them, and they've struggled. It's not easy to adapt to playing tight end in this league at all. And for him to do it so quick and to become such an integral part of this team, and as Ryan said, to play through injury so quick, to get back on the field and just be like, screw it, I'm going to go out there. I'm a tough nut. It's great. So I think he willingly wins it, because Gibbs is in a rotation, which is not his fault, but he's in a rotation. Sam has played a lot of snaps. He's made that position his own. Same with Branch. He's played in rotation a bit. They've both been great, but I think Sam just eats it out a little bit there. But the thing that most intrigues me now is Ryan's Romeo and Juliet reference. I kind of want us to load up on Iowa and Alabama players now, just so we can see this really play out. Let's get Cooper DeJong, Kool-Aid. Let's get all,
Cooper, yeah.
Yeah, let's get all these guys in here. Let's instead of preseason training been offense v defense, we can do preseason training is Crimson Tide versus Hawkeyes. We'll just do that. The two teams will kick the crap out of one another, and we'll be unstoppable.
And
yeah.
so
Go on, Tom. No, you go, Tom. Sorry.
the Laporta, I just went back to my big board from before the draft. Laporta was my lowest of the 4 guys we drafted at number 45. I think I just checked now, and this isn't kind of gospel by any means, but if you look at Fantasy Football Dynasty rankings, it probably doesn't surprise that many of you that Sam Laporta is the number 1 tight end. And that kind of doesn't surprise you, but at the same time, we've drafted a guy in the second round, and he's pretty much regarded as potentially the future of the position. And it's hard to think of anyone you'd really take over him. And that's why I checked the dynasty rankings, see, am I just kind of making that up? Is that not what people outside of the Lions would think? But I mean, it kind of speaks for itself that if people are picking a tight end for the future, they're picking Sam Laporta. But the record, Jahmyr Gibbs is third in the running backs as well, which isn't bad either. So, yeah, I mean, we obviously had the luxury of having those high picks, but we definitely took advantage of them. And Laporta, I liked coming out, but I just didn't see this kind of impact this quickly. So, yeah, another incredible job by Brad.
Yeah, I was going to hold my hands up and say I wasn't high going into the draft. I liked Michael Mayer and Darnell Washington more, but boy, am I happy to be proven wrong. Like, he just slotted in, did everything. Like, he played fullback for a bit when Kabinda was out. He was doing here, there, and everywhere, doing everything. He was even lined up. Some of my favorite plays was spotting him lined up at X receiver. Like, he played everything for us, and he was a key cog in that offense, especially in that Tampa Bay game where we couldn't get anything going in the run game. He kind of stepped up in the receiving game, was that short yarded option, got us the stuff. And I'm not just saying, and I'm not just happy because I got him in fantasy and he absolutely carried me to the fantasy playoffs and what was an abysmal roster of mine. So hopefully, well, sophomore jump, could he become the best tight end in the league? Maybe. I can see it.
All right, time to turn our attention to Defensive Player of the Year, and Ryan Farden has just stepped away from the mic for a moment, so I'm going to pick up the mantle here. Defensive Player of the Year, and I mean, considering what Ant was saying about Most Improved Player being majority defense makes this an especially competitive category. I mean, Aleem McNeil was on there, who is already our Most Improved Player of the Year. Alex Anzalone is there, and frankly, him... You know, he had a really big case, I think, for Most Improved Player too. Ifeatu Melifonwu was here, Brian Branch, fourth, third best slot corner in football, as well as the defensive end, Aidan Hutchinson. And the winner is Aidan Hutchinson. Of course it is. Had to be. The Michigan man gets himself a trophy. And, I mean, he really has continued his ascent from his rookie season. When he was drafted number 2 overall, we had lots of people saying, I just don't see him getting 10 sacks. You know, and you can't take a defensive end second overall if he's not going to get you 10 sacks. And I know that myself and Ant had many conversations like that with people all over the internet. And he got himself his 10 sacks in year 1. But in year 2, he took it to new heights. 14 sacks, including 8 in his final 5 games. 121 pressures in the year, including in the regular season and the postseason. That was second by 1 to Nick Bosa. So, ridiculous heights. And then his PFF grade of 91 was joint 8th in the NFL at the position. I mean, you think about... It doesn't sound as impressive as some of these guys that are sort of like second in the NFL, third in the NFL, whatever. But you have to think about who those guys are at that position, how big those names are in terms of the TJ Watts and the, you know, Micah Parsons and whatever. And Aidan Hutchinson is firmly among that conversation. And the most amazing thing about him is that he got better through the season. He played more reps, I think, than anyone else at the edge position this season. And he got better in January. And if we're going to make big postseason runs, as Brad Holmes was talking about, we need a team built to last all the way through the season. And Aidan Hutchinson's going to do that. So, for me, there's no bigger piece of this team, perhaps, just because of that mentality and how he does things. So, Hutchinson, boys, your Defensive Player of the Year. What do you make of it?
Absolute no-brainer. So, look at the other positions. Like, so you got Alex Anzalone. The offense still has to worry about Jack Campbell and Malcolm Rodriguez. Like, say, you look at Brian Branch, the defense has still got to worry about Garner Johnson when he was there. like say guys like Kirby Joseph, like there are people like. But when you look at like Ian Hutchinson, the offense, who else are they worried about? They weren't. He's still got tight ends sat on him all year. He's still got running backs chipping him. Like I say, he had to sled to get this work done. He had to take that, like I said, those edge rushers, that whole group, and put them on his back. And that takes a lot of serious effort. How many times was he going up against 2 or 3 people on the end of his line? Like I say, and it felt like he was just getting completely nullified, like I say, because there was just no one else sometimes to like just take away that bit of distraction from him. But did he complain? No. Did he ever get frustrated? Not that I hardly ever saw. Like I said, did he ever have a paddy or give up because he got pancaked because a tight end chipped him? Nope. Dusted himself off, got his hand back in the dirt or back into a 2-point stance and said, let's run it back. Like I say, I'll go again. He basically said, like I say, right now, like you say, I will help this team and I will carry it on my back and I'll do it myself if I have to. I know help's there and I know help will be there in the future, but right now I'm the focal point of this pass rush. And that's a big responsibility for such a young man that came into the league, like you say, with a lot of praise, but also a lot of critics. Like I say, a lot of people were on his case straight away saying, Michigan, too big for him. Not a Lions fan. Like I say, openly says not a Lions fan. Like people were on his case from day one. And yeah, I was a Kyle Hamilton man. I still wanted him there. And like I say, I put myself in more criticism, but still, yeah, he has lived up to every bit of what we expected so far. And as you mentioned, he could go through a barren spell, 2-3 games. There'd be pressures, but no sacks. But those last 5 games, boy, did he come alive. He just took games over. And like it was on like the same drive. He would end drives on his own. Every like 5 or 6 players. Tackle for loss, half a sack. And then the turnovers, like you say, getting in passing lanes. He's getting so much better at getting his hands up in the air. If you can't get to the quarterback, drop, jump. Like you say, stick a big old mitt out. Like you say, he's always there. The guy is just a pissing nuisance. And that's probably the biggest thing I can say about him. And if we get him this year, some serious help, you will see the best of Ian Hutchinson next year. If, like I say, the offense has just got a little bit more to worry about and they just take their eye off him for a split second, that's it. He'll be in. He will knife through like both. Yeah, but yeah, I love his personality. He's got the swagger. He's got the not obnoxious. He's got the arrogance, which I kind of love in that small thing, like the sack dance, the stanky leg. He runs his mouth a little bit. A pass rusher needs that. You need to have that chip on your shoulder and a little bit of something about you. When you win, you let him know you beat him. Like you say, you do a little dance. You run your mouth a little bit because he's earned the right to do that. And yeah, he's just getting better and better. And if the draft 2 years ago was tomorrow, Jacksonville take him. No question. I don't care what people say about Trevor Walker and like different position. The Jags would take him, knowing what they know now. It wouldn't be a conversation. They'd put him opposite Josh Allen, and those two would be absolutely just wrecking shit up.
I think Hutch is the perfect example of why you say it's 3 years till you grade like someone after you draft them. Because I think for me, I'm just like Rye. I was in the skeptics camp when we did it, and it's up here for me to see. So I'm never going to try and pretend it wasn't. But that Dallas game was like his watershed moment for me. Like when he just had such a big performance. It's such a big game for us as well. Like no one had us winning in Dallas. You know, we were still frauds. We couldn't go and win a big game like that. And that's when he really took one by the scruff of the neck and really bent it against his will. And after that, like the end of the season, he just went on a tear befitting one of the league's premier pass rushers. Like Dan's decision to play the guys against Minnesota was vindicated for that alone, so that he could build off the back of a big performance and go out and have another big one. And then just every game till the end of the season, you saw prime Aiden Hutchinson that you drafted number 2 3 years ago. Because I think before the second half of the season, yeah, he's been really good, but he's not elevated himself into that Bosa level of conversation, what you would expect from a number 2 overall pick there. But, you know, he's taken his lumps. Aiden has been to boot camp since he came in the NFL. He came in, obviously, a lot of fanfare behind it, etc. But he's taken his lumps. He's been alone for the most part on that defensive line, apart from when Charles was having his big year before he got paid. He's had to endure a lot of double teams. He's had to endure a lot of holding. He's been through a lot. And for me, that is a young rookie going through boot camp, getting shook up, getting shook down to his core foundations, right down to the bottom, and then he's been rebuilt on the back of this. Is now you're seeing a nastier, more aggressive version of him. You've seen the ego before, but the ego is now backed up by that. I've been through things, I've seen a lot, I've done a lot, and I've had to work my complete ass off to get to this point. And now that he's done that, and he's winning a lot, the pass rush arsenal is better. He sort of refined that spin move better. Just for ages, he looked like a spinning top who was just going all over the place. Now it's dangerous. A lot of guys can't handle it. It's refined. He's just bang full of confidence at this moment in time. So you say 3 years now into having him, like it looks a really good investment now at this point, and he's just been fantastic. And hopefully he's going to lead this line for a very long time to come now. It's taken time, but he's gotten there. And I think rightfully so. The defense hums off its defensive line and the ability to set the tone and create pressure. And a lot of the picks and that we've had are because he's been there instigating pressure on the quarterback. So, yeah, he's a very worthy winner here.
You guys have really said it all. I mean, big time players make big time plays, and that play against the Bears, that's what I voted for Player of the Year, where he basically just called game himself. He was like, "Let's enough of this. Let's get it over with." And I think that for me was the Player of the Year. I just loved the way he did it. I think, as you mentioned, that spin move is becoming a signature move of his already in his young career. And you get the impression, especially given his work ethic and everything you hear, is like he's just going to be doing everything he can to get better this offseason. And this isn't going to be the kind of guy who realizes he's already approaching the top of his craft and now he can just sit back and wait for the next contract to come in. He's just going to keep working and keep feeling doubted. So, yeah, I mean, what more to say about the guy?
All right, let's move on to the penultimate award. Ash, you are announcing the Offensive Player of the Year.
Yep. As much as we just mentioned, obviously, most of the improvements of improved players have been on the defense, and the defense has stepped up this year. The identity of this team is obviously the offense. And that's why, again, we've got a long list of nominees here. And even then, some guys have missed out. There's no Decker, for example. There's no Glasgow. But what we do have is Jared Goff, for obvious reasons. The sun god himself, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Lagota in Sam Laporta. Jahmyr Gibbs, the fastest running back in the NFL, and I don't care. I've just submitted before the podcast my vote for him to be in Madden's Team of the Year. David Montgomery, who is also up for Madden's Team of the Year. Just that 1-2 punch, thunder and lightning, hammer tongues at the running back position, long may it continue. And then the two stalwarts of the offensive line, and Penei Sewell and Frank Ragnow. Load of worthy nominations, but there can only be one winner. And let's all begin to pray as we hail the sun god Amon-Ra St. Brown, our Offensive Player of the Year. Continues to be a revelation for us, as we mentioned way back in that draft video. Brad Holmes knew he'd be there, that receiver from USC. And this year, he hit career highs in receptions with 141, yards 1,789, touchdowns with 11, and PFF grade with 91.2. Among all wide receivers, that ranks him fourth in PFF grade, second in reception, and third in yards. This dude has rose and rose. Best top receiver in the league, top 5 receiver in the league, no doubt in my mind. Pay the man, keep him here. Let's keep this offense humming with him.
That's hard. That's the best list of all the awards, isn't it? Like that is like you're splitting hairs. But yeah, it's been funny all week on Twitter. People saying you can't pay a slot receiver $25 million a year. Like people are talking crazy. Yards after catch, second in the league. It doesn't matter where he lines up. It doesn't matter where he catches the ball. It's what he does when he gets the ball in his hands. Like I say, he just makes people look stupid. Like I say, he is just shifty. He is like that bar of prison soap. You drop it, you got to grab it, it's gone. Like I say, you're not getting it again. Like I say, and by the time you find it, it's too late. It's over. Like I say, and he's going to be a very wealthy man, and I want to do it sooner rather than later. Let's not wait for other people that are due deals. Let's not wait for free agency. Let's do it now. Let's do it not now, tomorrow, or whenever. Just pay the man his dues. Like I say, because he doesn't have to take a team-friendly deal. He doesn't have to think about cap space. He has earned it. Like I say, he can still name all 16 receivers taken ahead of him. And he will be thinking about every person that's paid more than him. And that will thrive him for his next contract. Everything that happens or has happened in the past is just another motivator for him. Like I said, we don't need to motivate him. The fans don't need to. The players, just motivates himself by keeping receipts, cashing checks, and breaking necks. That's what he does.
Can I just ask the receipt takers of the group, because I know there's a couple of you to my right, as I see it anyway. How much did I say pretty much all year that Amon-Ra St. Brown could get paid? Not will, because it might end up being slightly different, but could. Do you remember how much I said?
25 mil.
No. I said, I was calling for more, though, initially.
You said 5 years, 125 is what you thought they were going to do.
That's what I pitched.
You did sort of pitch up towards 27.5.
Yeah, and initially I said 30. I came down from that point because there is no more important player on the offense than Amon-Ra St. Brown. Because the thing is, yeah, Goff has done great things. It's the chemistry between them that gets them there. But if playing slot receiver is so easy, why doesn't everyone do this? He is unguardable. He moves the chains. He keeps drives going. Jameson Williams is great. You know, he might score the touchdown that breaks things wide open. But you don't get those opportunities unless you get people respecting the underneath game. And in that, Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to break things wide open for Jameson Williams. He broke things open for Josh Reynolds 3-3 on the outside, or Sam Laporta to get his receptions this year, because he's attracting so much attention, and he's doing it, and he's still one of the best wide receivers in the game. Like, he should get paid the biggest wide receiver contract in the NFL, if he was actually paid what he was worth. Because he's more important to us than any wide receiver is to any team in the league. And I do not care if you think that Tyreek Hill is more important or better, because you're wrong. I don't care what you say. He's better than Devontae Adams. He's more important to us than Justin Jefferson. I don't care. Pay the man. $25 million is an absolute steal.
He's a franchise cornerstone, and that's what you have to be to win this award. Like, with how much great offensive talent there is out there, you have to be, you have to be above that. You have to have something like, I deign to use religious jokes because he's the sun god and everything like that, but he is a cornerstone to this franchise. He is everything that it represents. He is the gritty, he was the guy who was picked not on day one, not on day two. Like, this is the guy who's really done the underdog route, just like the Lions and Campbell and everybody else has. And, ever since the game in Minnesota, he's just been completely invaluable to us. And I agree. Like, if you were to say, like, who would you want as a receiver, like prime Michael Thomas just before his big contract and he went down and then just ruined it all? Or would you have Amon-Ra St. Brown? You would take Amon-Ra. Like, all this stuff about slots not been as valuable. Well, he can do a lot more than someone like Michael Thomas can to you. He opens up your offense a lot more than just running slant routes and running on the outside a little bit. He is far more valuable than that. He is a better receiver than him. Just because he works in the middle, don't mean diddly squat. The way we operate, he is completely... We use him everywhere. We even use him as a damn running back. Like, lead the tempo. Identity of your team, sets the culture, franchise cornerstone. Like, he is one of the best going, and I agree. He should get a hell. If we get him for below 30, if we get him, if they say 25 and we get 25, we've robbed him. Like, he's done that as a team-friendly deal to say, because for me, I don't think he does care about the money. If you offer him now, theoretically, less money for his entire career, like, say, 40, 50% less than what he could earn for a couple of Super Bowl rings, I think he'd take it like that because of that's how he's wired. So I think he will do us a solid this time. Maybe the next contract after might be fucking huge, but, for now, I think we're going to get something great with him. But he's special. And you have to be special in this offense to win this award.
Any more comments on Amon-Ra? All right, let's move it on to the final award of the night. Tom is presenting the most valuable player.
And we've appreciate a lot of the awards today. We've had 8, 9, 10 nominations. We've kept it pretty clean for this final one. So 5 names, shouldn't be any surprises on there. We have quarterback Jared Goff. We have defensive end Aiden Hutchinson, center Frank Ragnow, tackle Penei Sewell, and then the guy we've just been speaking about, Amon-Ra St. Brown. So a lot of big names, you could say, guys we've kind of talked about all evening, not even on that list, because that's how strong a set of nominees it is for this award. But the winner of the Detroit Lions 2023 Most Valuable Player is Penei Sewell. And I don't think I think it's easy to kind of understate what he's done this year. It's been absolutely incredible to watch a guy who came in with all this hype, who obviously had a really good couple of years, then suddenly elevate himself to be the best tackle in the league. And he's become the figurehead of the team. He's been the guy hyping the guys up before the game. And I think it's easy to forget because he feels like he's been with us forever, because he's been with us since the beginning of this whole front office, Dan Campbell, etc. If you look at the draft, and we're going to talk plenty about the draft over the next couple months, he's younger than Bo Nix. He's younger than Michael Penix. He's less than 1 month older than Jared Verse. He's 2 months older than Jaden Daniels. I mean, I could go on. This is a guy who's barely turned 23, and he's the best tackle in the league. So absolutely incredible as a player. Love what he brings in terms of his energy. You cannot underestimate what he provides to this team off the field, and you definitely can't on the field. So much of our offense runs through him. We talk about Amon-Ra St. Brown and how important he is. We talk about the incredible year Jared Goff has had. But without Penei Sewell on the field, everything falls down. Jared Goff could start seeing ghosts. He hasn't got time to get the ball to Amon-Ra because we're getting pressure. And the most impressive part of Penei Sewell is the work he does in the run game. And we talk about all the success Monty's had this year, Jahmyr Gibbs has had this year. So much of that is down to Penei Sewell and everything he brings to this team. So, yeah, I don't think there could be a more deserving winner. I'm personally delighted. Again, someone who got my vote. But, yeah, I mean, I open up to you guys. What a year.
Yeah, this is worthy. And, like, I kind of used the analogy earlier about Hutch, like his introduction to the NFL. He went to basic training in the army, like the drill sergeant has really done a number on him, broke him into the ground, and then rebuilt him up like they do in the army, that type of thing. And he's become the guy he wants to be now. Well, Penei Sewell came to basic training on day one. He walks up to the drill sergeant, punches him in the face, calls him his bitch, and says, "You're a failure. I am the guy who's going to go up to general. I'm going to be worth more than you. I don't need training. I'm going to own the shit from day one." And that's what Penei's been. He came in day one, started, and has not looked back. And he's just been one of the best guys going. He's taken a little bit of a lump in there, but it was like that first couple of weeks, people were jawing and belly aching. Oh yeah, the Lions have made a mistake. Da, 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 da. Well, those opinions are dead now. They're in a museum somewhere. He's the best tackle in the league going, and he's only going to get better, as Tom says. He didn't need an introduction to the NFL. The NFL needed an introduction to him. And Christ, what his contract is going to look like when he gets paid is I will lose what's left of my hair when he does. But, I just pay him everything, pay him whatever he wants because it's what he's worth. And, he's just such a monster, man.
You've reminded me of something that I need to bring up now, given that you've just called him that. So, do you remember the person who made the Twitter account, who does it for plenty of players, but the captain, John Matthew Stafford, and before every game it would be, I'm leading my men on into the field of battle. Well, I'm looking forward to Ant creating the General Penne Soul Twitter account, because that needs to happen.
Do it. To say, I'm going to pile onto what Tom said about the ages and that. I'm a sprightly young man. I'm the sprightly young man of the group, I dare to say. He's 664 days younger than me. He's nearly 2 years younger than me, and he's doing all this. I'm not that unathletic, but Jesus Christ, this guy, he's going to be a Lion for life. Probably, if and when he retires, he'll make a damn good offensive line coach. And honestly, if you give me a gaze into 30 years into the future and he's an NFL head coach somewhere, hopefully here, but somewhere, I would not be surprised. That Penne's got charisma, he's got the physical talent. I remember, and he's just got everything. I remember watching a couple of weeks ago, I watched that video his agent put out of his draft day, just afterwards to get hyped kind of thing. He's even got the community stuff. That's why he was up for Man of the Year earlier. He's an entire package. And he's another player that we need to nail down, get him under contracts for as long as possible. Don't let anyone else get to him because he needs to be here for life. He needs to be a Lion for life.
He's going to be a greater Detroit Lion than Barry Sanders. And I will say that now. No, what Barry is considered to this franchise, Penne is going to surpass that because Penne is going to win a Super Bowl.
Snip.
Yes.
That shit.
Snip. Yeah.
Holy God. Wow.
I don't think that's a hot take particularly. I think by the time he's done, he will.
That's the hottest of hot takes.
It's going to be a big statue. We're going to need a lot of brass.
We'll just chisel some out of his system because that's all he's made of is these strong metallic metals because no one can hurt him. Guy's impervious to pain. And he plays every snap. At least tackles, he doesn't even appear on the injury report. Every NFL offensive lineman has a week when they're nicked up or there's something wrong with them. He does not. He's fitter than the special teamers who barely see the field, who never get on the injury report. You never see him on it.
Don't even like my special teamers like that.
Well, no, it's just because they don't play as many snaps. So, and the long snappers are special, so.
Mile Marker has chimed in with what I think is a really good kind of extra award, which is the best comedic actor player. He said the ones that made us laugh the most. He says, of course, the winner is Dan Skipper reporting eligible for all of the remaining games after the debacle. And I mean, I think that's a good kind of honourable mention award almost, because I don't know about you guys, but Skipper really has kind of gone from that sort of player that you groaned every time you saw him on the field to someone who entered the field to massive cheers. And it wasn't ironic. It was, we're actually really good at this.
Yeah, well, you know that more than most. The amount of times I'd go, there's our big ginger man coming every single time I saw him. He's gone from as you said, from a space of a year and a half, 2 years. Someone were like, oh, we've signed him back again. I won't be surprised if we sign him back and he's our spring tackle 6 offensive lineman again this year because Matt Nelson hasn't really panned out. So bring him back for a couple of years. Just constant that 1 year thing. Let's get him just constantly signing deals to make him the most signed NFL player ever. Just constantly give him those 1 year deals until he breaks the record.
I mean, you got to figure someone like not AJ McCarron, the other one. Like your quarterback's probably got that record at this point. But I mean,
Ryan Fitzpatrick, maybe.
to be really really niche here and above the heads of the American listeners, but for us, we all know this. Like Dan, he would be like the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer Appreciation Award, just like that guy who you absolutely love, who comes in and does what does what you need of him, and he always does it, and he's just like the loveliest person on the planet as well to boot. Like that should be his award.
I don't like it because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was legitimately really good. Whereas
Yeah,
Dan,
so's Dan.
I'm thinking that he might be the Nick Chadwick Award. Like, I don't know if
that's getting niche.
Most of you probably don't remember Nick Chadwick, but
remember his blonde haircut.
Yeah. Anyway, we've come to the end of the awards, and we did leave one news item for Ryan coming on. So, Ryan, I'm going to come straight to you first. The Lions have signed Matthew Betts from the BC Lions. What are the Lions getting potentially in Betts?
They're getting the best version of Matthew Betts. He has been around the block multiple times. Former Bear, couple of years of BC. He plays with just so much more vigor and muscle than he's built, because he's very undersized for a position. Like I say, he's only 6'2". Like I say, he's a small defensive end. Like I say, he's not got long arms, but short, but he has got endurance. I mean, he's used to only playing 3 downs, but that won't be an issue. He's got the motor to still play every down. Like I say, he's a finisher. Like I say, you don't go through 16, 18 games and average a sack a game without taking your chances, because the defense can get off the field a lot quicker. He's actually got less opportunities to work at the CFL because they play less downs. And that means he has to be more clinical when chances do appear themselves. And offensive line, the CFL is not known for its offensive line play, but still he has chewed up guys and spat them out. It didn't work in the NFL a couple of years ago for him. Like you say, got some looks, had some workouts, like say the Bears, it didn't work out. He had to go away. He had to reinvent himself. He had to go find out what position is he best at, where does he line up best, how is he going to win. And he's now a good age, he's experienced. Like I say, he turned down more money from other teams reportedly to be here. I think he said when he had that workout in late November, early December, that he liked the vibe. It felt like they really wanted him there, and like he's not just a gimmick, not just let's just try and make it work because he's Canadian, he's goofy, it's funny. Like, they're serious, and realistically, he should have actual expectations of making 53. Not just because the D line is going to be revamped, but because right now this may be his last chance, but it's also his best chance to make it in the NFL. Like I say, so he'll give it everything. Like I say, he'll struggle against some of the big guys, but he's got good tools. He's got reasonable size, good finisher, and he doesn't stop running. The legs don't stop churning. And like I say, just if you want to beat him, you have to put him in the ground because he'll haul ass and he will pursue. So yeah, I really like him, and I'm wishing him the best. It's the first chance in a long time for a CFL player to make it in America. Not many of them had a chance in many recent years. CFL fans are gutted to lose him as well.
Just a quick one from Dan Pask, Ryan. He asked, what's the biggest adjustment that CFL player has to go to the NFL? And I mean, maybe besides the obvious?
For me, it'll probably be the standard of tackle. For Betts, purely, it's going to be the offensive lineman. They're going to be like he's played against before, realistically, in a game scenario. But no, the games aren't really different. Like I say, for other positions, there's a lot bigger differences. But for him,
isn't there a rule in CFL that they can't line up on the line of scrimmage? So it's actually harder for him in a way to get the sacks because he has more distance to carry. So that also might be just with him.
Gap in the trenches.
Yeah, so he's going to have to deal with
a bit different.
Yeah, he's going to probably have to deal with sort of that initial hand-to-hand I say can combat, like, you know what I mean? The sort of like that initial engagement is going to be a lot harder for him because it's going to be a lot sooner. At least
He's
can
going to
build
be a
up some
two
momentum.
camper. His size and weight, it's no good him having a hand in the dirt. If they ask him to do that one, but yeah, if you just stand him up as an outside line, like an edge pass rusher, like I think he'll get a few sacks. I can see it happening.
He could be. I know I've said it in the Discord. He could be sort of that James Houston, where like Sam linebacker and then on specific downs and 4 down fronts, and we go so sort of 5-man fronts against the Bears or those running teams. He could sort of be that sort of outside, like that sort of wide 9 guy in the 5-yard man alignments kind of thing. But I've got hype for it. I've tried to find some film of him on YouTube. It's been a bit hard, but we'll get there.
Yeah, and I think that's where I feel like I'm going to be a right downer in comparison, because I think he's exciting to take a look at, but like a success is him making the 53. It's not about him getting 8 sacks, 12 sacks. It's a guy who's never really done, well, he hasn't done anything in the US, right? I'm pretty sure he went to college in Canada. He rejected a couple of US college offers, was with the Bears, I think, straight out, and obviously it didn't catch on there. And that's not to shit on the guy. That's more, we need to be realistic with his expectations. And if he makes 53, what an awesome story that is. Because that means he might have to beat out James Houston to make the 53, right? So I love his motor. And again, I'm going really mostly off highlights and things like that. You can see him, let's say, out-athleting people in the CFL. He's not going to be able to do that as easily in the NFL, but this isn't a guy who's going to come in and suddenly be a below average athlete. His testing profile is pretty good. He doesn't have loads of length, like I say, size wise. He's not 6'5", 270, right? But I feel like he can make some things happen. And even if that's just being a legit body in training camp and making our tackles work, then that's something. Our team's only going to get better. I would expect there's going to be only more competition at edge this off season than there was previously, given obviously some of the struggles we had outside of Hutch this year. So, yeah, if he can make the 53, I think that's a huge success.
I mean, 6'7", 3-cone time at 254 pounds is just not real. It's insane. So bend her off the edge, stand him up, especially with 5 down linemen that we obviously do run sometimes, but not very often. Otherwise, maybe a bit of a Sam roll. I heard a few people say, he's significantly bigger than James Houston, but not significantly, maybe 15 pounds or something, which, is not nothing, but I don't think it makes him an entirely different class position. He's 6'2.5". Like, he is a small guy for the position, but I think there's a route there with no Romeo going forwards, and I don't know if he's coming back, but I'm starting to have my creeping doubts, and I might have to retire another jersey. But Charles Harris isn't coming back. There is room in the edge room at the moment, and free agency and the draft to go through yet, but he's picked a good team to try and break the room if there was going to be one.
He turned down the guaranteed money. He said in an article I read, I looked at the Detroit Lions roster, and I thought, I can win a job on that defensive line. He knows we're going to clear house, or potentially clear house. And like I said, he knows, like I say, we need bodies. He's a smart man, like I say, don't need the money, like I say, but he wants to win a job. So, yeah, I bet those guaranteed money offers would have been more stacked D-line rooms. You don't want to be in a practice squad. Like I say, he's better off playing in Canada than sitting in a practice squad in his eyes. So, yeah, he wants to be here and play. He'll do it for pittance. He'd play for free. Honestly, if you give him the chance to play in the NFL, I reckon he'd do it for free if you give him a shot.
Just finally, on the show, just want to shout out Pride of Detroit. Subscribed Tier 1 on Twitch for their 20th month. Says, bunch of dapper gentlemen on this stream. Meanwhile, 50-50 shot, I'm wearing pants on our streams. So, right now, breaking news, Pride of Detroit's OnlyFans is opening up. If you want to get excited, you want to go over to their stream later on tonight for that one. Thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate you. Go and check the guys out. And like I said at the top of the show, if you didn't hear it earlier, or just to remind you, go and see the article about going and supporting some of the charities that some of the players have a look at, because that's obviously a really good way to show your appreciation to the players. I mean, obviously, Frank's charity got plenty of donations through the year as well, but there's loads on there, so go and check it out. We're going to draw this one to a close. I know we normally take questions, but we have got our meeting, our end of season meeting straight after this, so we need to be slightly prompt compared to normal. But thanks to everyone for listening. Our next show on the main podcast is this time next week, Monday. It's the 2021 and 2022 draft class reviews. So we're having a look at our second and third year guys, how they've developed, what's happened, how have we drafted. And I mean, for those third year guys, the majority of them are going into a contract year now. So what does that mean for the Lions? We just talked about Aleem McNeil, and if he, lots of players in there we've got to consider. College football podcast later on this week, looking at the HBCU Legacy Bowl, the last of the All-Star games. So please do check out that show. There's some really draftable prospects in there, and they should have a really good guest too. So listen to the boys. They'll have a great show for you. Otherwise, socials, ROTL Lions UK on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and the group for Worldwide fans on Facebook as Detroit Lions Fans UK 1 Pride Worldwide. The website, rotluk.com. Please do subscribe to us, rate us 5 stars on your podcast provider. Thanks to everyone for listening on the audio pod, on YouTube and Twitch. Have yourselves a great week, and we'll see you later on. For now, from the boys, let's go Lions 1 Pride.
One pride.
Recording stopped.